You're watching Metallica Mania. Well, it's been a week. Been busy been procrastinating this week. That's why this ranking is so late, is because I've been procrastinating. Um, so this ranking will be Carcass's discography. They have 7 studio albums. I like most of their albums. There is one that I will probably never listen to ever again. And, yeah, they came out with a new album this year, Torn Arteries. It's on this list, so this will also be a album review for that. It won't be labeled an album review. I'm no longer labeling rankings with plus album review. I'm just putting contains Torn Arteries. So they have 7 studio albums, like I said before, and I'm going to be going into it now. Number 7, everybody's least favorite, mostly everybody's least favorite, Swan Song. Um, really, there's hardly anything decent on this album. Um, yeah, it's just not good. In my opinion, it's just not good. Um, really, I like every single album except this one. I'm like, I never want to listen to this one again. I never want to actually pick up a copy of this album. It's mostly like, do not listen, do not go into this album. Um, yeah, it's Swan Song is just not, in my opinion, is just not that good. And number 6, Symphonies of Sickness from 1989. I have a copy of this album. I have a copy of every single other one except Surgical Steel. And really, I don't know why I haven't picked up Surgical Steel because I think it's pretty fucking good. Um, yeah, it's like the better produced Recapitulation. In my opinion, Recapitulation is actually superior, due to how disgusting it is and how every band has tried to replicate it in gore grind since its release. And yeah, this one just doesn't hit as hard as Recapitulation. Recapitulation is a load of fucking fun to listen to. This one is a load of fun to listen to, but it's just not as good, in my opinion. First song, Recapitulation. Exhume to consume. Incoriating abdominal animation. Ruptured in Purulence, I think it's called. These are hard names to actually read because they have weird song titles and album names. Um, Track number 5 is probably my favorite one on here. It's just, it's a really good album. It's more of like the gore grind style, but it has a few death metal elements in there, and it has the longer songs. So yeah, and now we go to top 5, which top 5 Recapitulation. Um, like I said before, this album is a load of fun to listen to. It's like it has 22 tracks and they're like almost a minute long each. Some of them are 2 minutes, but there's some good ones on here like Maggot Colony, Carbonized Eye Sockets, Vomited Anal Tract, um, Microwave Utero Gestation, Oxidized Razor Masticator. There's a lot of good songs on here. I really don't say there's any bad songs on here. This album production is downright disgusting, and well, I like it. I like it for that. The downright disgusting production and the crazy weird vocals that they do on this album. So then number 4, I'm kind of going fast on this one because well, it's not that many albums, and I want to get through it quite fast and talk about some of the other ones. I don't have this one pulled up on Spotify and go through it that way. Surgical Steel, the number 4. I definitely think the 3 up above it are better, but it's more of a faster album, some thrash elements in there. It's definitely got the Heartwork sound that they had going with Heartwork. Favorite one on here is Non-Compliance. There's Unfit for Human Consumption, Captive Bolt Pistol. There's a lot of good songs on here. It's death metal for me is like my favorite metal genre of all time. And yeah, this album is a fucking amazing death metal album, but it's more on the melodic death metal, which I kind of like regular death metal a whole lot more than melodic, but it's still a good listen. I still like this album in full, and I kind of want to pick up a copy of this album. So then we go into number 3, which is Torn Arteries, their new album. And you already know what number 1 and number 2 is, but what order? That's how I always do it. That's how I always say it. Starts out with the song Torn Arteries, a great song. Dance of, I don't even know how to say that. Eleanor Rigor Mortis, one of the best songs on here. It's got that this album's more of like the what would be on Necroticism with the chuggy guitars and the overly death metal sound, but then the vocals are more melodic death metal sound on this album, so it's kind of like a mix of like both. Um, Under the Scalpel Blade, fucking amazing song there. The riffs are fucking awesome on that song. Mostly forgot everything that I just fucking listened to, but oh well, I'll wing it like usual. The Devil Rides Out. One of my least favorite songs on the album is The Devil Rides Out. Flesh Ripping Sonic Torment Limited, my favorite song on the album. It's just fucking 9 minutes of just crazy riffing. And yeah. Kelly's Meat Emporium, In God We Trust, another one of my least favorite ones on here. Yeah, just seems kind of weird. It seems like a weird song for them to make. Wake Up and Smell the Carcass. There was a compilation or something that was actually that name, and surprisingly, they made a good song out of the name, because usually when they go back and like make a song out of some other name of a compilation or something, it's bad, but this one's actually pretty good. And the Scythe's Remorseless Swing. Overall, great album. I don't really see anything wrong with this album. There's a few songs that I don't uh, don't think are as good as the other songs, but they're still pretty much in my book worthy of listening to. So then let's move into number 2. Move away from the new album, go into number 2, which is Heartwork. Most people's favorite album from them, but really Necroticism is far better with death metal, with the original sounding old school death metal than Heartwork. Buried Dreams, Carnal Forge, No Love Lost, one of my favorite ones there. Heartwork, Embodiment, This Mortal Coil, another great one. Don't know how to speak that language, so I'm not going to even try. Blind, Bleeding the Blind, another one. Doctoral Expellatives, I think it is, and Death Certificate. This album has such a fucking over the top sound to it. There's definitely an over the top element to this song, this album. And yeah, definitive. I have the Ultimate Edition version, which is quite better sound quality on it. I listen to both versions, but Dynamic Range is probably the best one. Yeah, it's just riffs on top of riffs like usual. And number 1, Necroticism, the 1991 album. Impropagation, Corporal Jigsaw Quandary, my favorite Carcass song ever is Corporal Jigsaw. Symposium of Sickness, Pedigree Butchery, Incarnated Solvent Abuse, another good song. Carnivorous Cacophony. I'm gonna stop trying to say these because I cannot pronounce these. I can't even pronounce the album name. But all I know is this album fucking kicks ass, and um, it's mostly like a very early bouncy type death metal sound. Um, it's not along the lines of Heartwork and the melodic sound. It's kind of like the in between the gore grind and the melodic death metal, where they go like almost full death metal. And the gore lyrics are still good here. The gore lyrics are still like really on point with how gory Carcass should be on albums. So yeah, that's my Carcass ranking. Hope you guys liked it. Have any questions? I've tried to take suggestions on how to do these videos, but yeah, it's just a lot. It's a lot to do album rankings of like really big discographies. So I'm kind of going more into the smaller ones. Maybe Exodus will be the next one. Um, I've never really thought of doing Exodus, but I already know one album that'll probably be at the very bottom. Um, yeah, and Exodus just did a new one, so kind of thinking about it. But I don't own a lot of the Exodus albums, so it mostly be like Spotify pull up, Spotify. So it's kind of an annoyance if I don't have all of them. But hope you guys liked it. Follow my TikTok, follow my Instagram, and like if you didn't like it, dislike it. And subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video. If you guys liked it.